Hello gamers, welcome to Video Games in the World. I am John, your host, and today our episode shall focus on the very first movie based on a video game. Not to mention one of the very worst movies based on video games of all time. I'm talking about Super Mario Bros. The movie, which stars the late Bob Hoskins as Mario, John Leguizamo as Luigi, and the late Dennis Hopper as Bowser, or Koopa. For those who have seen the movie, I'm very sure you have said like, what? This isn't like the Mario we all know in the video games. At the time the movie was released, Mario was already a worldwide phenomenon that had spawned toys, coloring books, and also 3 cartoon shows such as Super Mario Bros. Super Show, which was based off Mario 1 and 2, Adventures of Super Mario Bros. 3, which was based on Super Mario Bros. 3, and finally the animated series based on my favorite of all time, Super Mario World. We all know the story of the beloved Nintendo mascot. The Italian plumber adventures in a magical land, fights evil monsters, and rescues a princess. However, this version of Mario was worlds away from the beloved world of the video game character. In this version, the Mushroom Kingdom was turned into a neon-lit cyberpunk city called Dino-Hatton, where dinosaurs had evolved into humans. Bowser was a leather-suited politician fascinated by mud baths, and the Goombas are not mushroom-like creatures, but 8-foot-tall lizard warriors with shrunken heads. Super Mario Bros. Stands as one of the worst video game adaptations preceding other bad ones like Double Dragon, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat Annihilation, Wing Commander, Doom, and many more. But now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to begin the story of the movie. Enjoy! The story of the movie revolves around 2 hardworking plumbers called Mario and Luigi Mario. Wait a minute. Mario and Luigi Mario? That ain't good. Sorry. The plumbers befriend a young paleontologist called Daisy, who Luigi immediately falls for. She uncovers a massive find of new and mysterious dinosaur bones. But then, while exploring the tunnels, the underground pipes are sabotaged by thugs hired by the rival of the brothers, Anthony Scapelli. When the Marios repair the pipes, Iggy and Spike capture the princess and take her to a parallel dimension called Dino-Hatton. The Marios pursue the captors to rescue Daisy. Daisy is captured on orders of Dino-Hatton's dictator, King Koopa, because around her neck there is a meteorite piece which is needed to put on the meteor that landed on Earth 65 million years ago in order to merge Dino-Hatton and Earth Prime as one. Now the Marios must rescue not only the princess, but the world itself. This is the story behind the movie. Before the live-action movie was ever released, on June 20th, 1986 in Japan, an animated movie called Super Mario Bros. The Great Mission to Rescue Princess Peach was released. The story of the movie was very faithful to that of the game, and many gamers who saw the live-action movie found this to be 10 times better than the flop of a film that we all know. However, this animated movie will predate the live-action movie. Before the flop of a movie we all know, there was an original script completely different from the actual film written by Barry Morrow, who wrote the Academy Award-winning movie Rain Man. This script was closer to Mario's roots. In that story, Mario and Luigi traveled to a Wizard of Oz and Alice in Wonderland style version of the Mushroom Kingdom. In that world, the evil King Koopa, an actual Green Lizard King, had kidnapped a princess called Hildy and made her his bride, so he could obtain the magical crown of invisibility. The Mario brothers and their sidekick Toad set off on a quest to save the princess and prevent the evil King Koopa from obtaining the artifact. Now, that script would have had the potential to be a great Mario film. Unfortunately, Leitmotiv already chose the husband and wife team, Rocky Morton and Annabelle Jankel, to direct the film. Many say that it's a big mistake that they did, because it would water down the story and make the cheese of a film that everybody knows up until this day. Leitmotiv originally approached Danny DeVito to both direct the film and become Mario, and that would have been a great choice. Danny DeVito as Mario, since he had the attitude and the size. And the hilarious part about all of this is that Arnold Schwarzenegger and Michael Keaton were approached for the role of King Koopa. Unfortunately, Arnold, Keaton, and Danny passed on the project. After the 3 have left, Tom Hanks was assigned to play Mario, but was fired after he asked for too much money. Rocky Morton and Annabelle Jankel's vision for the movie was much more darker than the lighthearted story of the game. They wanted the movie to take place in an alternate reality version of New York, a place called Dino-Hatton. After an asteroid struck Earth 65 million years ago, all of the dinosaurs were supposedly killed, but they had been banished to a dystopian version of our world. But the two realities were still connected by a portal under New York. As eons passed, the dinosaurs slowly evolved and thrived into vicious, intelligent beings, just like us. These humanoid dinosaurs grew to hate the mammals that blissfully walked around Earth Prime. In an interview, Rocky Morton had said, "I met with the game's designer, Shigeru Miyamoto, very briefly for like half an hour meeting or something. But that was about it, really. Nintendo let us do whatever we wanted. They just put a crushing deadline on the project. The movie had to be made by a certain date, otherwise, there were all these financial penalties, which added a lot of extra stress for the project." By mid-1992, after the original director and screenwriter were fired, Rocky Morton and Annabelle Jankel were hired to produce and direct the film. According to Morton, he said the following: "I wanted the film to be more sophisticated. I wanted parents to really get into it. At the time, there was a very hardcore movement against video games and a lot of anti-gaming sentiment. I wanted to make a film that will open it up and get parents interested in video games. Back then, it was taboo to be making movies based on video games." 9 writers had worked for the film, and rewrites would continue long after the camera started rolling. The script ballooned into a rainbow of confusion as the production crew was continually handed new color-coded daily edits. The late Dennis Hopper told Chicago Tribune in 1992 the following: "The script had probably been rewritten 5 or 6 times by the time I arrived here." When Morton and Jankel took the role of directors, the husband and wife team heavily altered Mario's roots and turned the Mushroom Kingdom into a neon-lit cyberpunk city called Dino-Hatton. In the beginning of the movie, the story narrates the following: "The meteor that struck Earth Prime created a parallel dimension where dinosaurs evolved into humans and harbored a hatred for the mammals. Humans. According to human evolution, we are mammals, although many still believe that we are born because of Adam and Eve, while Dawkins tend to say that we come from a common ancestor, and others say we are entirely made of matter." The propaganda of Dino-Hatton's sole dictator, President Koopa, was all over the city. However, certain references to video games were like the names of items and lesser enemies from the game, such as Bob-Omb, Big Bertha, Boom Boom, and the mushrooms that were called fungus. We all know that the mushrooms are power-ups that allowed the brothers to grow in the games, but these ones, instead of making them grow, will be of help against Koopa's de-evolving weapons and even entrusting them with a Bob-Omb. A useful item in the movie was the Thwomp Stompers, based on the Goomba shoe from Super Mario Bros. 3. These boots were used by Big Bertha, a huge woman who worked as a bouncer at the Boom Boom Bar and helped the bros escape during the raid by giving them the boots. Now, the character of Big Bertha is named after the man-eating fish of the franchise. These boots were powered up by bullet-shaped batteries resembling the bullet bills from the game. British actor Bob Hoskins took the role of Mario, while Colombian-born actor John Leguizamo took the role of Luigi. Dennis Hopper played as King Koopa, and Samantha Mathis was Princess Daisy, Luigi's love interest in the movie. Dana Kaminsky played as Daniela, Mario's girlfriend in the movie. Interestingly, the character of Daniela is said to be based on Pauline, Mario's original girlfriend from the video game. Donkey Kong and Mojo Nixon was Toad. The characters were greatly altered by the vision of the directors. Mario and Luigi were both struggling plumbers from Brooklyn, and one thing not everyone remembers is Luigi being very brave. And despite his frightened personality in the games, he is still very popular among the fans. In this movie, Koopa was a dictator of Dino-Hatton, or the Mushroom Kingdom, who plotted to use a meteorite piece that the princess had around on her neck to merge both Dino-Hatton and Earth Prime so he could conquer both worlds. Koopa usually de-evolved those who stood against his rule. An example is Toad, who was de-evolved as punishment for being against Koopa. Morton and Janko. Are you kidding me? The recurring lesser enemies in the Super Mario Bros. Franchise were the Goombas. Now, in this movie, instead of being mushroom-like creatures that our favorite Nintendo mascot stomped on for years, these enemies were 8-foot-tall lizard warriors with shrunken heads, and according to Koopa, they were loyal, lethal, and stupid. I would define stupid as how the Goombas were made in a certain way. A memorable scene is when the Goombas started dancing in the elevator until the drill sergeant put them in attention. A Goomba that would remain a good guy was Toad. Some would suppose that the police officers of Dino Hatton using flamethrower guns are probably Koopa Troopas. The character of Yoshi, instead of being Mario's faithful mounted partner, he is a miniature dinosaur who is chained out on a leash like a dog, and he is mistreated by Koopa and wounded by his assistant, Lena. When the creature helped Daisy escaped. Why, Hollywood? Why did you do this to Yoshi? Yoshi in the games was always a mounted dinosaur and Mario and Luigi's most trusted and faithful companion. Yoshi will later be playable in his own games such as Yoshi's Cookie and Yoshi's Island. Now for the critical reception. The movie was commercially and universally blasted for a poorly written plot, poor character development, and not to mention how it did not seem like the Mario that we all know and love. The funny thing about it is that Rocky Morton himself admitted that the movie was a major flop. The late Dennis Hopper stated in an interview that the worst character he has ever played was King Koopa. As for the late Bob Hoskins, in an interview, he had said the following: "The worst thing I ever did? Super Mario Brothers. It was an effing nightmare. The whole experience was a nightmare. After many weeks of filming, even their own agent told them to get off the set. Effing nightmare, effing idiots." Of course, for the first movie based on a video game, this is the one that started the genre. However, not every movie based on a video game was bad. The good ones were Mortal Kombat, Silent Hill, Resident Evil Apocalypse, The Spirits Within, although I would rate that one as decent. Dead Space Downfall, Dead Space Aftermath, and I would say that the two Tomb Raider movies were okay. But the worst ones were the Uwe Boll movies, Doom, Mortal Kombat Annihilation, Tekken, Dead or Alive, the rest of the Resident Evil movies, Street Fighter, The Legend of Chun-Li, Double Dragon, and the Van Damme Street Fighter movie. They should have never done that one. The list will go on and on. So finally, in conclusion, the funny thing was when I was a child, I was ecstatic that a movie based on my favorite childhood video game was made. And I was like, I like it. But then when I saw it, wait a second, this isn't like the Mario that I know. Yeah, we all know that the movie sucks so bad that probably after that, Nintendo had learned its lesson. But even though the majority of movies based on video games starting with this flop are so lambasted for having a crappy storyline, and some of them weren't that bad. And that's pretty much all I have to say about the movie. As for the original script of the movie, you can still read it online if you like. You'll find the link in the description. So remember, gamers, don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe. This is John, host of Video Games in the World. Have a good one, and play hard, gamers. Bye-bye.